All right, so welcome everybody along to the Remote Digital Agent, our fourth webinar in this series, and excited today to have Kylie Davis with us, the founder of Real Content and co-founder of Home Prezzo. I had the fortunate pleasure of working with Kylie for many years at CoreLogic, which is and seeing exposure out into the market and the wealth of knowledge that you're giving around the proptech industry and really putting it up on a pedestal was fantastic. As you know, I've always been a big proptech advocate myself.
Yeah, we love it.
We certainly do. And for those out there, we'll be sending out Kylie's details as well later on for Home Prezzo and Real Content, which is obviously an important part about being a remote digital agent is utilising these fantastic products that are in market. So once again, thank you for everyone that is joining us this morning, wherever you may be around Australia. We're going to jump straight into it. So, Kylie, COVID-19, it is just so random.
It's been so crazy, hasn't it?
It does. It's this time of year, you'd be preparing for things like ARIC, and I know I'm meant to be on a First National cruise out of Sydney.
Oh, well, we were both going to be on that then. What's going to be my first cruise?
Same here.
Oh, I may never cruise ever.
No. So what has surprised you the most with this whole COVID outbreak?
Oh, God, where to start? I think what has surprised me the most is how quickly it became normal. And I think, and how quickly everyone kind of rallied around the new reality of what was happening. So and a couple of things that I saw happen, agents, nobody wasted a lot of time railing against it. Everyone just went, oh, right, okay, what do we have to do? And went pretty quickly into action mode. And I saw that from both agents and the proptech businesses out there. And I also saw it, and I was really heartened by how the whole industry came together, which was, right, we can't change this, we can't undo it, there's no point fighting about it or getting cross about it. What are we got to do? What do we need to find out? Who knows what? Who's got thoughts? And everyone coming together to share what they knew or share what they had discovered or what was working for them. And in the proptech space especially, it was very heartening, and in the coaching space too, just seeing people reach out to each other and say, are you all right? Like, how are you guys going? How are you coping with this? What are you doing? And it's been, I think, in the proptech space, a period of extraordinary creativity around, well, how can we help? How can we lean in? How can we make our stuff easy? People need to adopt it now, so how can we actually make that easier and more affordable, or what can we do to actually increase that adoption at a time when agents really need it?
No, definitely. It's it really has come out of left field, but the industry has really been together, and it is.
Yeah.
There's no more you, me, and this franchisee over here. It's everybody has come together, which has been great.
Exactly.
Some laxing of the restrictions this week. So you're up in New South. I'm down in Vic, and for inspections, they're coming back on board this weekend.
Yep.
Which is interesting to see. From a home prezzo point of view, have you guys found it?
So we noticed that we had a lot more. I think what happened when COVID hit is, because what we saw is that newspapers are closing down or going on hiatus. We saw a lot of fear around, should I be letterbox dropping? I certainly shouldn't be door knocking, obviously. So all of those traditional ways that real estate agents have marketed themselves, that they've hung on to, and look, they're all valid ways to market yourself. But the things that some agents had been hanging on to say, well, I don't need to do digital yet because I can do this other stuff seems to still be working. Suddenly that just didn't work. Like, it wasn't even possible to do it. Like, there's no point booking an ad in a newspaper that doesn't exist. So what we found was that suddenly we had an unprecedented amount of interest and activity on the platform, with people suddenly realizing, shit's getting real in digital marketing. Maybe I need to work out what I'm doing, or I need to, and also inside real estate agencies, the typical day of an agent or week of an agent and the activity, because transaction volume sort of fell off a bit of a cliff, and because staff were suddenly looking for, okay, I don't need to do all these things that are happening in my day on a day-to-day basis. there was a little bit more brain space for, okay, maybe I should learn how to get to do this stuff. So we found a lot more activity on the platform, and more people interested in what we were doing and asking for help in how to do it. And that was why we turned on all the free content, because we could see that was a really easy way for people to start to use to do things that they already knew how to do.
Fantastic. What digital tools do you think have been most important to real estate agents to adopt? So you're obviously in the proptech space, you're across it. What things have you seen that really they need to adopt, and what do you believe will be still here after COVID that will be everyday practice now?
Well, look, I hope a lot of it's still here, because I think what it gave us was a bit of a pause. The most common thing I hear from agents who tell me, oh, I haven't had time for that proptech thing, has been, I just don't, I don't really know if we need to bother about that, do we? And look, then there's still a very good 20 to 30% of the industry that are hard and fast determined not to update, which is cool. But it's been time and brain space, so bandwidth. I haven't got bandwidth. I'm just too busy doing stuff. And I completely get that, because nobody's had bandwidth. But the gift of the lockdown to us all has been to kind of take a breath and look at what's important and what we need to focus on. And I think we need to be making a differentiation between what is busy work that is actually not productive. It's just busy because our processes and structures aren't right, versus what is busy, important work that needs to happen, which is around, caring for clients and giving great client service. So the stuff that we've seen happen during COVID is people have been digging down into their CRMs and working out what their CRMs actually do, and the stuff that they can do with them that they never got around to learning. So getting better at becoming a little bit more digitally fluent. What we've also seen is the rise of the absolute importance of cloud-based tech, because your people can be anywhere. You can truly be a mobile agent. A mobile agent is not an agent with a mobile phone who can make phone calls in their car. A mobile agent is someone who can be on the sidelines of their son's AFL match and be closing deals on an app without taking their eye off the game. That's what a really digital agent, a digital agent is. Digital agents are ones who the digital tools that they use empower them to give better customer experiences and give them their lives back, not things that just make them busier. And that's where tech had been pushing us for a bit there.
Yeah.
But I think what we also saw is, the rise of the stuff that was essential in that cloud-based stuff is that, paperless contracts, digital signing, the importance of that, and the value of things like virtual and video tours of properties, because not everybody wants. Traditionally, the only way to inspect to decide if a property was for you was to go and physically inspect it, and that's not efficient from a buyer's point of view, and it's not really efficient from an agent's point of view. You really want your open for inspections to be times when qualified people who already know that this property is really pretty much what they're looking for are just going in to do a bit of a final check, or to get us, to really feel it, because they've looked at everything else that you've got for them. So it's got to be part of that qualifying process.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I was talking to some agents last week who were saying to us that they've been doing a lot of FaceTime. So
yeah.
The clients walking through, can you show us through the bathroom? What sort of fittings does this have? Can you show us the appliances? It's purely because people are scared about the travel, and I think there's been a lot of somewhat necessary fear put into people about travel and about stay at home and the importance of staying at home. So I think the genuine buyers that are out there that are utilising, and the agents that are utilising this proptech, I was talking to one agent, he sold 4 in a week, and just said to me, I can't believe it. He said, if I did opens, I wouldn't sell that many in a week because I'm too busy chasing everything.
No, because if you're too busy doing the doing stuff that isn't adding an amazing amount of value. Like we need to really critically look at the whole process of how we sell properties and go, you know what, that's a little bit too human heavy. What can I do in that space to give myself an hour back in my week? And if you could give yourself an hour back in your week for every property that's on your list, you wouldn't know yourself at the end of a month, and certainly at the end of the year. You'd be in a whole different brain space around just around a whole lot of things, and you'd probably then have the time to be servicing your customers a whole lot better, who also don't want to be running around like, you know, crazy loons from property to property on a Saturday morning in between ballet and AFL and a, you know, load of shopping in between, because it's the only day during the week when you get to shop for work, and, you know, vacuuming the house, like all those sorts of things that we have to do as boring adults. That buying a property just tips you over the edge.
It certainly does, and especially in an unknown market at the moment, given the fact that, you know, there's so much unemployment, there's so many factors of banks. I was just looking at all different factors of what they do at the moment too, and this particular agent said to me, so I'm glad he said I've got multiple ones that we're doing the conveyancing for him, and he said, I can at least see where everything's up to. I don't need to ring. I don't need to ask. You guys just push that data to me in an app. Easy, you know, which is great.
Perfect. Yeah, so we're moving away from having to manage everything to starting to manage the exceptions, because we've set up great rules around the processes. And there's probably quite a lot in that sentence, but I mean, that's the perfect thing. Like at the moment, agents are still being a bottleneck for most communication. Like they think they're handling all the communication, but what's happening is that things can only move forward if someone speaks to them. And that's actually a terrible way to live. What you want to do is have great structures and rules around, you know, I get notified when something when something starts to look like it might go wrong, and then I can step in and fix it or make sure it doesn't become a problem. But everyone knows what they need to know exactly when they need to know, because we've set up the tech to be informing people. And then everyone feels much more secure and comfortable because they know where things are up to. And especially at settlement, like, because, you know, I mean, you'll know this, Paul, from in conveyancing, so many agents focus on the sale, and, you know, once that champagne cork's popped, that's when shit gets really, goes really wrong.
Right. So
then the bank and the lawyers come in, and then the stress really starts.
Yeah, and it's interesting, when I came into conveyancing, I've been 15 years not in real estate, and multiple years at CoreLogic, and especially working in around the trust account systems and things like that. And it's like, my God, conveyancing, I say, is like herding cats. You have 15 to 18 different parties that you are dealing with, trying to get them all to move in the same flow, the same direction.
And hit the same deadline. Yeah,
and same deadline, but all on different platforms. So the state revenue officers, all the different officers that are on different platforms, you're at the mercy of. So an interesting one lately has been around quick contracts and trying to get them in yesterday. And, you know, get the contract is easy, but to get the 32 or whatever sits behind the contract, the actual details, is the hard part, because you're so heavily reliant on council or the water board or the owner themselves if they've done renovations and not got permits. So it is interesting times, and I think a lot of people talk about the ecosystem and how fantastic the ecosystem looks. And the ones that we're seeing at the moment that are really pushing the numbers through have their ecosystem tied up. They're on the agent boxes, they're on the vaults, they're using Home Prezo, they've got their CoreLogic linked into everything as well, and they're following up in a different manner to what they used to.
Yeah, no. Look, here's a great metaphor for, I think, what we have to do as agents. We know that it's better to buy than to rent. Like, so if you're renting stuff, then you never really own the process. You know, you're always at the mercy of what's going on. And I think owning that ecosystem in terms of, you know what your process is, you've got all of your tech set up to support the way that you like to bring on vendors, prospect for vendors, market yourself, handle the process once they've joined. That's your ecosystem, and that's what you need to own. And look, there's a lot of work, like buying a property. You have to do a lot of work to get the deposit and get your brain around doing all that thinking to get it set up initially. But then once you own it and you're just paying it off, or you're just sort of working through it, you'll never look back, you'll never go back to renting. So we kind of need to get into that mentality that yes, there's a bit of work that's required to think through all of the things when we start, but we kind of need to think of that as the deposit that we put down to owning the space.
Yeah, well said. So what can agents focus on at the moment to improve their customers' experience? What do you think they can go up and beyond? And those some that are embracing things already, like we talked about before. What do you think's the next level stuff that they can do just to make sure, now that opens are going to be back on this weekend, what's the next level stuff you'd like to see?
I would like to see us keeping the things that we've learned how to use during this period. So I really want to see us to continue to get better at online forms and signatures and digital signatures. I want to see death to paperwork and printing stuff out and saving it on my email or saving it on my desktop and then printing it out and signing it and taking a photo of it and sending it back. I mean, let's just screw that. Like, that's the stupidest thing ever that you would want to do. And there's a property manager out there that I use who I'd really like to get them to adopt that. And look, I think what I want to see us doing is looking at how the digital and the physical can hold hands to offer a better experience and to understand how we see that. So even though it's great that auctions are now live again and we can do them on site, what if I can't attend on that Saturday morning, but I am a red hot buyer for the property? I really love the property, but I've got to be interstate for work, or I've got something, or I've got sick parents down the coast, or something's going on in my life that I just can't make it. Can I still bid online? My husband and I love going to art auctions, and as part of COVID, they've all gone online. And to see the prices are actually stronger now because suddenly all those people that can't get to the auction can actually start to bid. So we need to sort of recognise that the more people you can get there and make easier for people to choose or to participate, the better the results are likely to be for your vendors. But I want us to see the digital and the physical kind of working together to make real estate amazing. I want it to stop being this experience that happens to you as a property owner or property seller or property buyer once every 8 to 10 years, that you kind of just go, all right, let's just kind of, if you've done it before, you just sort of put your head down and you hope to God that it won't be as painful as the last time you went through it. And I can't wait for the day when we have to stop, lecturing and forewarning first-time buyers about all the stuff that's got to go on because it's so difficult, and all the things that can go wrong and all the hurdles and all the mistakes you have to avoid and all of that sort of stuff, because actually it really is not, it's quite enjoyable. Like this whole idea of buying your future, of buying the place where you're going to live and raise your babies and choose schools and live happy, live, laugh and grow, because this is what our homes should be. They shouldn't be these monstrous bureaucratic, administratively tiresome hurdle races that we all seem to go through. And so I'd really like to see that we know the tech can do it. We know the people can do it. The best experience would be both parties playing to their strength and it not being us and them, tech versus real estate. It would actually be just what's a great real estate experience, and then use the stuff that works the best.
I think auction houses are a bloody good example of that. We've got one up here. I live up in the Macedon Ranges down in Melbourne. Mm-hmm. Little auction house up here, and he's adapted it, and he's going great guns. And it's adapting to get your business to work within restrictions. And local pubs that are all of a sudden delivering. We had locals night at our pub last night, and they delivered the home, and the kids were wrapped, and they were like, "Oh, this is awesome! We get to have the parlour from the pub." So I have a man cave, so we went out and sat in the man cave, and we had dinner out there, and sort of brought some sort of normality to it. But I then sent the owner of the hotel a picture to say, "Hey, here's us having your cooked meal in our little man cave."
Yeah.
And she sent back, "This is so beautiful because we miss seeing you guys on a Tuesday night." And adapting, and they've adapted to business, which has now actually made them want to expand their business, and it forced them to go online, and they'll never look back. So
Yeah. My yoga studio around literally it's a block around the corner, and it's heartbreaking that I can't go. But she's been doing online yoga classes, and we've all kept our memberships up, and we all keep going. And my dogs keep sitting on the yoga mat, so I sent her photos of my dogs sort of doing downward dog. And there's some nice stuff that, I mean, I can't wait to go to the pub and have a proper beer, and I can't wait to go to another real estate conference, and I can't wait to hug a few people. But it has been, there have been real benefits to it. And I'm going to confess, I kind of feel a bit of anxiety around every time I think, oh, will we ever be able to walk into a room of crowded people again and go, okay, let's just do it? Or are we all going to be sort of socially distancing for the rest of our lives? It's possible.
It is sort of crazy time, and still unknown times. I think restrictions have been lifted because of sort of fairly forced pressures on the economy, on everything, people's mental health, especially, and for everybody out there that's homeschooling. I'm hearing you. I'm there.
Respect.
Yes. Well,
my boys are grown up, thank God. Yeah.
I have a 9 and 11-year-old that I actually both quietly working at the moment, which is great. So they're not at each other. Look, people want a bit of a ray of hope. What are some positives that you think can be really taken from this time moving forward that, we're getting?
Look, I think it's made us more human. I think, I often talk about, look, tech up until very recently with the rise of AI, and how quickly AI is starting to infiltrate our lives. We have lived in an era when technology has just made us busier. So for every job, and it's been a bit of a false promise, because for every job that tech promised to take off our plate, it gave us 5 more things to do. And so we've been running on this bloody hamster wheel, feeling absolutely, completely strung out. And I think what we take away from this time is that it was a time where we had to stop, where we had to, stop doing things the way we were doing them. It's taken the ability for us to hang on to, but I've always done it this way. Like it just killed some of that stuff dead. And we had to get creative and think about how we would do things. I think the way people have come together and looked out for each other and supported each other has been fantastic. And I think we need to take all of that with us, that we need to recognise when we're just getting a bit too crazy, and we need to double down on the things that are important, which are the human things, and look at how the tech can actually help us to, live the connected life in a true human sense that we want, rather than just the latest gizmo.
Oh, definitely. Well, I think you touched on it earlier around first home buyers, and it's interesting. We're with REA, with the GFC and things like that, and it was just horrendous for anybody to try and buy property back then.
Yeah,
like the lending conditions were horrible. We've just gone through banking royal commission, and I thought, you beauty, my hair is slowly starting to grow back, and then this.
And I was starting to lose weight.
And then looking at it, and I'm looking at first home buyers now, and they are millennials. They're people that want. They don't. We've seen this within our business. They don't actually physically want to see anybody. They don't want to deal with anybody that they think might be a little bit smarter, a little bit cleverer, more intimidating. It's all about apps, and it's all about, yep, can you text me and let me know? There's no more phone call from you. I don't want this, I don't want that. And we're seeing that a lot. And I think given the low interest rates now, we're going to see a really big up boost of local purchasing rather than foreign investment, and first home buyers coming in the market.
I think so. I agree. And I think as a generation, I think that no one wants to be sold to. And there's this sort of worry or fear that, especially as Australians, that when people are talking to us and we can't sort of work out, we're getting sold to, or we're getting scammed, or we're getting rushed into making decisions that we want. And this is the era of personal choice, and of being able to do your own research. And yes, it's a bit slower, and yes, you kind of have to get up to speed, but there's a plethora of information out there, and you can find out anything. You can be curious about anything, and you can find out anything about it. And so we've got a new generation of first home buyers who have grown up with that and will make the decision their own way in their own time, and will absorb the information the way that they feel comfortable with. And in their head too, like, it's the most expensive thing they'll ever buy. So why wouldn't they put the same rigor around that they put around, the best coffee or the best restaurant or the best, the best music festival and perfect, combination of bands inside a music festival that you want to see. Like, there's been hours researching that stuff. Yeah, I know my boys do. Like, what was your biggest achievement, Charlie, during COVID? I was like researching my new computer purchase. Like, well, great.
I did see one the other day. Something about Tiger King and kids going back to school and putting their hand up saying, well, I learnt about Tiger King on during COVID because
he's wild.
Look, it was absolutely fantastic to have you on board with us today, Kylie, and joining us for the Remote Digital Agent. And for everybody that has joined us today, thank you for your time. Good luck with your opens this weekend if you have them on. And we'll be sending out some details on real content. And content is an important part of what you're doing. I have thousands of people on my LinkedIn, as does Kylie, and I am seeing some dreadful content come through. So make sure you are careful about putting up there, people, because it can make or break somebody's decision. As Kylie said, everything is exposed out in the market now. People will do their research on you. So to make sure you've got a good content writer and good content manager. And we'll send some details out on Home Prezzo as well. And thank you, Kylie. Good to see you again. Pity we're not on a few drinks, but next year.
See you soon.
Cheers, Kylie. Bye.
Thank you. See you. Bye.